Yep, Heath, almost down to yours on a table. That's where I started 5 years ago. Hi, Leslie. How are you? Hi, Heath. Um, yeah, Leslie. All in all, I'm okay. Um, I'm in my last week of work before my summer holidays, and technically I should still be at work, but I took a late lunch and just decided to come home. Um, we have exams this week. I mean, in America, the school system is so different, but we have, depending on what part of the country, every city. Hello, Jean Ricard. How are you? Depending on what part, in Germany, the school system's a little more predictable from city to city, town to town. They stagger just for the um, population, the railway system. The start and stop of the school year is staggered, but they're all on the same schedule mostly. Hi, Brian. Hello. And in America, every city is very different. Some school systems do year round and have breaks here and there. My city is still kind of old fashioned. We have the farmer schedule where we start school middle of August and we end it at the end of May. And the last week of the school year is exams. All the kids take comprehensive exams, either for the entire year or the semester, the half year. So it's testing in the morning and then we're done in the afternoon, usually grading exams, but I'm done grading exams because this year I made all my exams, dare I say, multiple choice, no spoken, no written stuff. It's just been too crazy a year, so it's easy to pop them on a machine and grade them. Hi, Ray, you're here, but on a conference call. That's all right. Hi, Richard, how are you? How's the new house going? So I'm sitting around home bored and um, Merklin, my company, had a update from my Central Station 3, a big update. So I just finished installing it, was messing with the trains a bit, and said, why not go online? We'll see who shows up. If anybody shows up, well, obviously somebody's shown up. So I just thought do a sort of hang and chat. Um, I'm kind of dealing with a end of the years are always blue. They're I've had to say goodbye to students that I've taught for 3, 4 years, and I'm not going to see them again. They're either graduating or they're done with their German program. You haven't moved just yet, okay. Um, and then, of course, there's always the kids that you've had for a year, and you never reached them. You never could turn the switch on for them. And this year, with the way COVID worked, it just makes it harder. And then just a lot of other stuff is happening in my world. Um, one of my longest, well, it's hard to say. I met them about the same time, but my two best friends that I've known for close to 30 years. One is sick with liver and hepatitis and just went into the hospital yesterday. And the other one has cancer as well. And I've already lost a couple of friends to cancer in the last few years, and I'm tired of losing my friends. Wow, I missed that, Leslie. I thought you were already in the new home. That shows you how well I pay attention. Richard, what's the latest on your dissertation? Yeah, Brian, it's rough because literally I've got two friends. I I tried to stay close to my high school friends, um, and once I got married and we all moved into our jobs and world, that circle of friends ended. And I really didn't have a circle of friends I picked up in college. Joyce is my only college friend. Um, and then at work, I never hung around with my colleagues at work. Um, when teachers get together after work, they still talk about teaching. And I tend to, when the workday's over, I don't want to think about teaching. Um, and I always coached and played sports. So I've got friends in the building when I've worked, but outside I've got a very small group of friends. Okay. Yeah, Jean Ricard, it was discouraging because the way we taught this year. Um, when COVID finally got into the American conscience in March of 2020, our school system just shut down and basically ended the school year, even though we had 2 more months to go. And we prepared lessons and put them online, but it was optional for the students to do it or not. That's the way our politicians made it. And then we started the new school year in September. They delayed 3 weeks to get everything organized. And it was all online. But we only did half days. So instead of seeing 7 groups of students 5 days a week, I was seeing 4 groups of students twice a week. I would see 1 group of students on one day and 3 groups of students the next. Wednesday was a conference day, and then Thursday and Friday repeat. Because somebody decided that students could only handle 4 hours a day on a computer doing their lessons. And so, hi Gus, how are you? All right, so you guys are moving into your new house on the 11th. Your dissertation is 2-1. Just got the over a final project left to go in hand. Okay. Hey, Mark, Donegal Dad, welcome. Leslie, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry I did not catch that happening. I'm really out of the loop with a lot of stuff. Oh, that's not a happy sign, Ray. That's going to get political, Mark the Vicar. It wasn't blown out of proportion, all right? In America, we've got 600,000 people dead from it. I don't think that's blowing it out of proportion. I have had close connections through work that have had severe cases of COVID. So let's leave it at that. If Americans had taken it more seriously, we'd have a lot more people alive instead of it being turned into a political circus, which it should have never done. Hi, Lee, how are you? But, and I've been losing students right and left who have come down with it, and it spread through our building when we went back to full-time teaching. The problem is we went to online teaching the first the first semester and quarter of the next semester, where all teaching was online, but I was only teaching each group of students twice a week, and that we just fell way behind. For example, in a textbook, normally I'm into chapter 9, I started chapter 5. So that tells you how far behind we were, almost half a book behind. Not that I teach to a text, but using the textbook as a guideline for how we normally get. So it was frustrating. It is frustrating to see how little I got done this year. And so, I mean, I'm a teacher, guys. It's like, in a way, I don't know how you explain it. It's a calling. It's a vocation. You don't choose to be a teacher. Teacher falls on you. A light goes off one day and you're called in. Now, I know almost any time I talk to a group of people about teachers, everybody remembers all their bad teachers. And that's always frustrating. Hi, Tim JD. Yeah, I mean, I needed to hang out with some people. I've been sitting home alone for a couple hours. I picked up Joyce and went to lunch with Joyce, dropped her back off at work, and then came home, been sitting around, was working on my central station, and decided what the heck to go online. Lots of things going on, good and bad stuff, everybody's world. Just with me, I kind of felt the need for community, and I figured maybe model train community was the easiest to access. On the negative side, several of my friends are sick. One's in the hospital, went into the hospital yesterday and is not doing well. Enough that I'm in panic mode because I haven't seen the guy in a year and a half because of all the restrictions. And I can't go see him now because one visitor, and that's his wife. But on the other side, my son, he hasn't announced it. He's announced it to the family, but I don't know that he's announced it to all his friends yet. So I can't do it on Facebook. But my son got engaged on Monday. My son is now engaged to his girlfriend. They have not set a date or anything. I still think, and he got engaged on Monday, and she just accepted a job down in Columbus, Ohio, which is about 2.5 hours south of Toledo. So he now has to look for a job in Columbus. He's got a good job and he makes good money here, but she starts June 14th, I think they said. So he's going to have to quit his job, but he's got a couple of weeks to look, and they just started renting an apartment. My son will be 26 in just over a month, about 5 weeks. Yeah, about 5 weeks. My son will be 26. Um, I got engaged when I was 20 and got married at 22. 23. So, that's the good news. Bad news is this is Joyce's baby. Okay, it's our baby, but it's Joyce's baby. This is our youngest. And he's going to be living further away. When we were young and our kids were young, there was the thought this kid would be a doctor, this could be based on their, Lynn wanted to go to New York City and be or Philadelphia and be work in the industry as a photographer or magazine layout person, blah, blah, blah. My second daughter at one time was wanting to be a zoologist and was going to, travel the world. My son wanted to go into, he did go into chemistry and figured he'd be moving West Coast or East Coast in his job. But as they got through college and graduated with their degrees, they all picked jobs close to home. So they all live in Toledo. It was like, I teased my wife as the time to leave came, the umbilical cord apparently had not been cut. All our kids live close. And while my son had thought he might be moving a little away from Toledo, now it's going to be 2.5 hours, which isn't it's an easy drive for Joyce and I to hop in the car on a weekend and go down and visit. But all his friends are up here in Toledo. His friends that he's had since high school, he's been able to stay with that group. So I think deep down he's not excited about having to move south. Yeah, I was engaged at 20, going on 21. Married at 22, going on 23. Father at 23, going on 24. We had our first child about a year and 3 months after getting married, so it was after the marriage. And our thinking at the time, Joyce and I both came from large families. When Joyce was younger, she was gung-ho. She wanted to be a mom. She didn't even know what she wanted to do. She wanted to be a mom, but she didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom. She knew she wanted a job. She wasn't quite sure what she wanted to do. But while she was in college and she fell into education, but she was going to go into child psychology or maybe run, one of her ideas was to run a preschool nursery. She had all kinds of ideas, but she finally settled on becoming a teacher. A little hardcore. Yeah, I remember sitting in Joyce and I had already been married 20 years, and I had to do some summer recertification college courses, and I was in a class with a woman who had been married 25 years and got divorced within 2 years. So she was like, at 20, that's pretty good. But I was married 25 and then it all fell apart. Joyce's sister was married close to 30 years, maybe more than 30 years when she got divorced. But my parents were married 54. Joyce's parents were married 55. My uncle was married 57. Long marriages run on both sides of the family. Joyce's oldest sister's been married close to 50 years now. Her other sister's been married for going on close to 40, 30s. Let's see, we're going on 33. No, we are 34. We're going on 34, so her sister's got to be close to 40. And her other sister had been married 30-some years when they got divorced. Um, my oldest daughter has been married 8 years, or going on 8 years, the one that just had the baby. My other daughter has no intentions of getting married. She's 20, almost 29. She'll be 29 in 5 weeks. So yeah, my son and my daughter's birthdays are 3 years and 6 hours apart. My second daughter and my son, my daughter was born at 11 o'clock in the evening on July 6th of 92, and my son was born 5 a.m. of July 7th of 1995. So 3 years and 6 hours apart. Yeah, we are. Yeah, Jamie Farr, who played Corporal Klinger in MASH, his real name Jamal Farah. He's Lebanese. He is from Toledo, Ohio. He went to a high school I taught at. When I was a kid, we were friends with his cousins. A lot of his family is still in Toledo. His sister's kids, his brother's kids, and grandkids. A lot of them are. Some did move out west. He did help a lot, but a lot of them still live here in Toledo. A lot of his distant cousins and relatives still live in Toledo. I never met Jamie Farr. I've met many of his family members, but I never met Jamie Farr. But that restaurant he always talked about, Tony Paco's, is a Toledo legend, although he made it a bigger legend. But even before he was on MASH, locals in Toledo knew Tony Paco's Hungarian hot dogs. But there was always one place. Now there's 4 or 5 of them. He finally started branching out. Well, he's dead. And it's been a weird story. His sons lost the company a few years ago in a lawsuit and then got it back. Hey, Steven. Yeah, Joyce had a great birthday. Joyce had an amazing birthday. It's hard to explain why. She got a lot of nice gifts. I bought her a new tablet. She wanted a new, fancier tablet because her other one was on the fritz. So that was my gift to her. Cost less than a train. I feel guilty, but hey, it's what she wanted. And my kids all went together and bought her a really nice set of binoculars. Joyce is a bird watcher. Joyce has 2 hobbies that we haven't talked about much in here. Joyce is huge into weather. Joyce is a wannabe weather. Really, if the 55-year-old version could sit down with the 19-year-old version of Joyce, she would tell her become a meteorologist. Joyce loves weather. She's into weather. But the other hobby Joyce has really gotten into is birds. Now, she has other hobbies. She loves kayaking, so we go kayaking a lot in the summer. We've got a couple of kayaks. We put them on top of our Dodge Journey and take off every couple of weekends, or just drive down to the river and go. But in the last few years, Joyce is really into birds. We've got bird feeders all around our little yard, so she can have different types of birds come in. And now she's got binoculars so she can stare at them. But that's Joyce's... Any form of science is Joyce's hobby, but she really loves weather. There was a time where she was big into geology, because that's what she was teaching a lot when she was younger. And but bird watching is the new one. So the kids bought her a really nice deluxe pair of binoculars. So she can sit in our backyard. Now, we have a postage stamp backyard, but she's got bird feeders around it, so she can pop on her glasses and see what kind of birds we have. I've got 3 kids. My oldest is 31, will be 32 in October. No, will be 33 in October. See, I'm losing track of time now. My oldest will be 33 in October. The next one is 29, will be 29 in July, and then my son will be 26 in July. Hello, Tony Northeastern. Well, lots of trains to see for sure. By the way, one update. Those of you who have teased me about the Orange City is now gray. If you take a look, it's gray. It's been primed. I did take them out. It was primed. We had, it finally broke today, but we had a string of like 5 or 6 days of 90 or more degrees Fahrenheit. A massive heat wave for this end of May. Sometimes we get a week in the mid, maybe even upper 80s, but to get in the 90s like we did, that was weird for us. But we got into the 90s for 5 or 6 days out of 7, and the one day we didn't get up to 90, it was still 88. But we had, today it's cooled down and rain, drizzle. That's the weather report. Hey, hi, John from Mystic Southern Railway. Yeah, another thing that was, kind of that happened this week is at work. If you didn't know, I'm the head of my department. I'm the department chair. And I wound up doing something I shouldn't have done, but because the people who should have done it dropped the ball. I had to tell somebody in my department they're being replaced. I had to, and really it's the best teacher in my department, and but they've been replaced for next school year, so they are out of the building. They're being moved out, and somebody is being moved in. Long story how that happens, which but I did not want to do that, but it's the last week of the school year, so everybody's packing up. So I assumed by now she had been notified, because technically it's not my job. The principal and the people from the Board of Education are supposed to have notified them saying, you are being displaced and will not be returning to your position next school year. And so I went in, and of course the teacher was packing, and I assumed that they kind of knew, and I said, so they finally talked to you? Because I had known. Technically I wasn't supposed to know, but I had been informed. And no, they hadn't been told yet, and I'm really angry that they had not been told. And I mean, if somebody had told me, hey, take the job and tell them 2 weeks ago. But what I really didn't like was knowing for 2 weeks that this person was being replaced, and then assuming by now somebody had told them. And they're a great young teacher, but they're being replaced. And that's hard to do, because this person's been in our building for 3 years, and I really think they're the best teacher in our department over me. Over anybody else in my department. I've got a great department. I got a lot of great teachers that I'm in charge of, but it sucks to have to tell somebody they're out. And again, I mean, I wouldn't want to do the job, but I would rather have done the job when it became known 2 weeks ago, rather than be told, well, don't say anything, it has to be confirmed, and notification will come from the Human Resources Department, blah, blah, blah. And every time I'm talking to this person, going, you're asking me questions for next year, and you're not going to be here next year. And I hate being told something, then told I can't say anything about it. Love bird watching, just getting your face slapped. You shouldn't get your face slapped for bird watching. It's if you touch the birds, or dare I say, try to catch the birds, then you get in trouble. And we all know what birds means in the UK. In the UK, you call them birds. In America, we call them chits. My uncle used to say that. He was always watching women with his wife next to him or whatever. Just because I'm on a diet doesn't mean I can't look at the menu. She divorced him eventually. Well, hi, Rick Bailey. How are you? I didn't think I'd get too many Americans on just because it's lunchtime or still before noon on the West Coast. So the week has been a big emotional roller coaster, which is why I'm on today. I just needed to commune with people. Rita says hello. Yeah, if I ever do a sequel to Matt Clark, I think Rita will be a character. Lovely Rita, Meter Maid, the Beatles song. But I was already coming up with all kinds of lines that I wasn't typing. As naughty as I was in that chat, the Sidetrack Sunday, because I did start you made me, you gave me the spanner. And by the power of Numbskull, you don't ever want to give me a spanner. I'm the person that needs to be booted. It was that was about as bawdy a live stream as I've been in. Yes, hardcore. They travel in flocks, even to the bathroom. One of the differences between men and women. One of the differences between men and women. A woman can get up and say, "Hang on, Gladys, Marjorie, I've got to go to the bathroom." And they'll be like, "Oh, we'll come with you." Or they'll even ask, "Do you want me to come with you?" Guys are like, "Excuse me, I got to go take a piss." You don't have a guy going, "Hang on, Bob, I can go with you. Do you need me to go with you, Bob?" No, I don't. No, and see, here's a tragic point of view. What kind of a nerd, loser, or whatever you want to call it. When I'm out with Joyce, and I tend not to look at other women. I don't. It's just something I got brought up. I don't gawk at other women. The biggest problem I have is I'm a T-shirt reader. If I notice somebody's got written on their T-shirt, I read the T-shirts because usually it's a joke thing. If it's somebody's logo or something like that, I ignore it. But if there are words printed on a T-shirt where it looks like there's a joke or something, I'm always reading T-shirts. But usually when we're out, it's Joyce. Well, did you see that woman? No, what? You didn't see the chick with the tight leather skirt and the... I was like, no, where? Never mind. That's what Joyce does. But, yeah, I tend not to. Now, having said that, if we're in the living room watching TV and a very attractive woman comes on in a very attractive outfit or something like that, and my wife knows I have the old Avengers TV show, the Emma Peel years, and we can start an argument about you older Brits, because Honor Blackman, the original female partner, and I forget her character's name in the Avengers, the black and white Avengers. Well, it was black and white at first with Emma Peel, but I had a thing for Diana Rigg, Emma Peel, and Joyce knew that. I also have a thing for Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, and Joyce knows that. But like if it's on TV or something like that, then I'm like, whoa! And Joyce is like, what? Look! But yeah, out in public with where it's three-dimensional real, I tend not to. Well, hello, St. Blazy. Welcome in. The kinky boots. And, you know, American TV could have never gotten away in the 80s with what British TV got away with in the 60s. You guys remember, if you were a Avengers fan, Diana Rigg, do you remember when she was, like, at the, joined the Hellfire Club, whatever? She had the spiked collar and the full leather corset and thigh-high leather boots and the whip. You wouldn't have seen that on American TV in the 70s or 80s, and that was 1966 England, or UK. But, so TV, magazines, internet ads, and of course, everything you do online is immediately sold to somebody else. So, if Joyce asks me to buy her skirt or blouse or dress, or Joyce buys a skirt or a blouse or a dress online, I get 10 million ads. Joyce buys a new swimsuit. I've got 10 million ads on Facebook and YouTube, swimsuit ads. So you're always going, ho ho! Now, of course, when it came to the event, for those of you who don't know who Honor Blackman is, if you know the James Bond movies, she played in the third Bond movie, Goldfinger, she played Pussy Galore. I never thought Honor Blackman was attractive. Although I think she looked a little better in the James Bond movie than she did on the Avengers TV show. And I've had friends of mine yell at me and call me insane. I never found Honor Blackman attractive. I'm not saying she was ugly, just I did not think she was sexy attractive. Barbara Eden. Yeah, that's a mic drop name, Barbara Eden. But again, I'm drawn to brunettes, hence Joyce. Dark hair and dark eyes. Dark hair, dark eyes. Probably because I come from a family of blue-eyed, blonde-haired Germans. And my mom was a redhead. So I could never get into redheads, even though Diana Rigg was borderline. I call her brunette. I could never get into redheads because my mom was a redhead, and it seemed like an Oedipal thing. I just never got into redheads. With a couple of exceptions. Hi, Nisi. But again, for those who don't know, I mean, if you've ever come to my live feeds, Joyce comes in. Joyce is the one and only. Never dated anybody else. I was O for junior high and O for high school. I think I asked 3 girls out and got told no 3 times, and that was striking out. My dad thought I was gay. And then my brother was. Marianne from Gilligan's Island. You know, people do Ginger Marianne. I was a Marianne guy. Now again, Ginger was a redhead and very Tina Louise, very attractive, but I was a Marianne guy. I just like brunettes. Dark brown hair to black hair. I like dark hair and dark eyes. And by the way, I'm running the same trains as Friday. I haven't changed cameras or anything. Like I said, I was just here to see who came in and said hi and yacked or whatever. Try for the moment. Well, Rick, they do make and sell stuff for that. And also run in the wrong direction. Yeah, I mentioned this at the start. One of the reasons I wound up even being down here on is Meriklin, which makes most of my trains. I did buy a new train today, but it won't be here until probably Monday. New locomotive, not train, a new locomotive. But my control system, my Central Station 3, had a system upgrade. And so I came downstairs to download it and install it on my Central Station 3. Indeed, why did they pay? There, yeah, so many questions, and you just let it go, because it's funny, you know, that the house had so much stuff packed, the movie star had so much packed, and then, you know, Gilligan and the Skipper had the same shirt, pants, and I assume underwear and shoes for how many years they were on the island. Well, St. Blasey, what is it? You know, it was started by the pervert that Rupert Murdoch. The Page 3 girls. Wasn't that one of the UK papers had the Page 3 girl going all the way back to the 60s? Or did that start in the 70s? No, I don't. You want me to. I don't have to change it, but you want me to. Hi, Jackie. Good to hear you're not bad today. Joyce is still at work, and she's going to be late today. I don't think she's going to get home from work until 5 o'clock. She's got a meeting, and the last time she had this meeting, it lasted 3 hours, and she didn't get home till almost 7. But, you know, the thing is, when you watch, it's funny because I explain this to my students. They will show me stuff on YouTube. Mr. Dodge, did you see this on YouTube? I was like, it's fake. No, it isn't. It's right. It's like trying to explain to people. And by the way, I have old people that have the same issue. I just saw this on YouTube. It's fake. Computers today, you can fake it so easily. You can't believe what you see. But on the flip side, you have, with TV shows, it's not reality. It's not reality. And you can't expect YouTube or old shows to conform to reality. Why did the Howells have so much gear with them? Why did Ginger have so many clothes packed with her for a 3-hour tour? Well, they never explained. Maybe she had just come to Hawaii for a show and she arrived and her hotel wasn't ready and she had to have her bags with them. Maybe the Howells were scaredy cats that never wanted to leave their money in a bank or in a safe and always carried it with them. You can't worry about it. I got so many emails about my Matt Clark cartoon, to turn this into a Matt Clark conversation, where people were pointing out the flaws. And I'm, like there's a scene where they talk about penicillin. Your story's based in 1891. Penicillin didn't come out until the 1930s. Well, actually, penicillin came out in 1928, but that's a different story. It was the joke, okay? A Black 5 was a UK train. There were never Black 5s in the United States, blah, 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 blah. Okay, guys, it's just a cartoon. It's just a cartoon. It's not even rivet. I did get some comments about rivet counters. People, there was no such thing as a latrine car. Well, in my little cartoon world, there was. Okay? And I researched this. I looked into it. I Googled and read articles online about how did people go to the bathroom on trains in the late 1800s, early 1900s, before they began installing true toilets. And the way people went to the bathroom, you would have been happier having latrine cars. Some cars, they said, had just a little hole in the back. And if a woman had to go, they literally just, they gave them like a box, and the other women on the train would circle around her and put their skirts out while the woman did what she had to do. Men, if they had to pee, just went out the door and pissed over the side of the rail. I found so many ways, but no, there was no such thing as a latrine car. But to suit my storyline, somebody invented one. But I got a couple of emails about that. There was no such thing as latrine cars. I get people whining about the order the cars were in my fictional train world. So it's always funny. There are just some people that just, I would have found it funny, but you got this wrong here. It's like taking somebody to see Star Wars who is a big science geek. There wouldn't have been a flame explosion in space, or it would have lasted half a second. You wouldn't have heard a sound in space. Okay, it's a movie. We have sound. Don't worry about it, okay? And I can be guilty of that too. I can be guilty of that a little bit. When I look at I'm enough of a science geek, I can get a little annoying at times when I watch and they create alien races and they have humans that have horns here, or put some sort of bizarre, they're all human except for that one little add-on. And the thing is, the people that design these, you have to understand, why would evolution have put that there? Why would a human have grown horns here? Why would a humanoid creature have this thing? Everything evolves for a need or a reason, and then when that need disappears, it disappears. For example, since the humans began wearing shoes, our pinky toe is shrinking at a very noticeable rate. Our pinky toe may disappear in another 10,000 to a million years if we humans last that long. so it's so sometimes I will do that myself. I think we all have the area where we start going, because I do that like with the Lord of the Ring movies. I'm a huge Tolkien geek and I hate the movie because every wrong. People won't watch the movies with me because I just sit there. Wrong. That's not in the books. That's not in the books. Did the idiot even read the book? Did Peter Jackson read? Wrong. So we all have our points where I think we all become that way, but we're annoying to everybody else who doesn't care. I have some alien features that cannot be explained. We all do. Well, hi, Stuart. There you go, Mark. When they have this wrong or that wrong, you know, that's okay. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, there's a scene where you clearly see Gandalf's wristwatch because he forgot to take it off, and and there's a person in charge of that. They're called the continuity control. And their job is to look at the different scenes and make sure, oops, that needs to be fixed. You know, you can watch TV shows where a guy has the collar of his shirt buttoned all the way up, and the next scene it's open, the next scene it's closed again. And most people don't catch it. But some people will catch it, and then the continuity person gets yelled at. You missed that. How did you miss that? Well, hi, Chris. How are you? I was free the last couple of days to see your live streams, and you weren't live streaming. I finally had some time to come into your live stream, and you elected to not live stream. I take it personally. All right, say Blazy goodbye. And Stuart, you're leaving? Hi, bye. Hey, Andrew from March West. Yeah, Joyce had a great birthday. In fact, I got sidetracked as I always do. Hi, not bye. Okay, good. I just saw the BY and wondered. Yeah, except Joyce's best gift was a freebie. Our one daughter, not prone to showing outward emotions, gave Joyce a card and wrote a note in it, which just had Joyce in happy tears. And so yeah, it was probably the best gift Joyce could have gotten for her birthday was the card with the note my daughter wrote to her in it. Joyce was just beaming because our one daughter rarely shows outward emotion like that. But yeah, Brian and Tony, you guys bring up the other issue. You know, when we're talking about rivet counters. And rivet counters, because I know people that are rivet counters who complain about rivet counters. And I'll watch their feeds, I'll watch their streams or their videos and go, but you're one of those. You know, oh, rivet counters, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, but you're one. You constantly are criticizing, well, I don't like the way this person did that, or I didn't like the way the person did that. That's a rivet counter. I'm the exact opposite. I don't care. If you weather your trains, awesome. If you don't weather your trains, awesome. You have a full layout, awesome. You just have trains running a circle on a kitchen table. Awesome. I'm into this hobby because I loved riding trains in Germany and wanted to recreate it. And yes, slowly I do want to create an actual layout, but I'll get it done at my pace. Or I won't get it done. I could be hit by a bus tomorrow and this will never be finished and Joyce will sell all the trains. Hey, Melvin, how are you? So I'm into the people that are into the hobby, whatever part of the hobby they're into. So if you're Chris here with, Chris, how many A4s do you have now? That's what I'm into. I'm into the people that are into what they do. The enthusiasm. Not criticizing other people. There was a guy I was subscribed to, but I don't subscribe to anymore, that was always saying, man, I won't even go to a page if they don't weather their trains. I won't even look at a layout or look at a YouTube channel if they don't weather their trains. Okay, that's you, that's fine. But do you have to announce it a lot on your YouTube channel? Those who don't weather their trains, it's a waste of the hobby. That's where I draw a line between, okay, you're now putting others down. I don't weather. I will never weather. I've got 2 trains here that combined are $800 or more. I'm not about to take a dirty paintbrush to them. And I just want people, I like people that are having fun. So if you go watch Ray Boebel's channel, he has fun. If you go to Rick Bailey's channel, he has fun. You go to Chris when he's running his trains, he has fun. And those are the people I look at. Hi, Tom Couples. I've talked about many times. One of my favorite channels to watch was Will at IC82. Nice guy, and really scaled back on YouTube because a lot of really dirty things happened in his personal life that and it all happened at one time. Deaths in the family. He and I always forget if it's Greg or Craig. He and Greg were trying to adopt some children. They were at the last step. They had finally been approved because they'd been denied before. They'd finally been approved. They make the money. They do all this. They spent thousands of pounds upgrading their house to make it childproof. But then the final person who had the say refused to let them adopt the 2 children they were looking at adopting. And that really crushed them. And then right after that, and a beloved aunt of his died. Anna's mom died. I might get that part wrong. But and then he just fell behind. He basically took 2 years off of YouTube, where he's got people would send him stuff from all around the world, where he would either fix it or highlight on a show and send it back, and it all piled up. And I think it just overwhelmed him when he realized after 2 years how much stuff he had. And every now and then he'd post a video saying, okay, I'm back and I'm going to try to catch up. And I think every time he tried to catch up, it just overwhelmed him and depressed him. But I was very, very angry from a distance at why he was denied having kids. There's so many kids that can't get adopted, and for somebody to have their own petty issue with his personal life, BS. Yeah. And see, I'm not a train spotter. Or a rail fanner, because people use different terms. I have no inclination, no desire to run to the tracks and watch the American trains go by. But when I'm in Germany at the train stations, then I will walk through and look at some of the locomotives, usually trying to see if there's something I hadn't seen before. I'll always see an IC3, I'll see an IC2. But in America, I have no inclination to go to our Amtrak station here or to head out to the train tracks half a mile down the road here and film or photograph trains. I'm not into trains like that. But in Germany, when I'm traveling, and we always travel by train in Germany, then at the train stations, I will go look at trains and take a couple of pictures of them. So I hope that doesn't sound cruel to the community. Because some are into model trains and aren't train spotters, rail fans. And I'm not. And I don't know my American... I know more about UK trains, and I know very little about UK trains, than I know about American trains. The only trains I know anything about are the German train system and their locomotives. Yeah, no, I like the changes you did on your... layout, Tim. I think that was really cool. I like the little wigwag you had on the one. And of course I like bridges. I'm still in my work clothes. I didn't even change clothes. Normally I wear a shirt and tie, but when it's 80-some degrees and the air conditioning in the building doesn't work, I'm not wearing a shirt and tie at work. I'm the last of a dying breed, as a teacher goes. I'm one of the last men teachers that still wears a tie. Yeah, the Japanese trains look really cool, John. They're very cool. Well, like Randall Ellison will buy new locomotives and post videos, and I love watching it. I love watching when people are rail fanning, and mostly because I'm trying to learn. You know, Leslie gets a lot of great trains in his videos, but like, and if you haven't gone to Leslie Gilpin's page, his newest last few videos, especially since he had changed residences, at least temporarily. Oh my God, I put that, and I don't want this to sound, maybe somebody's, I've got a 70-inch 4K TV in my living room. I've got a 70-inch 4K TV in my living room. And Leslie's videos, his last few, especially, I think, the last one. Oh, my goodness. Joyce and I watched that, and we didn't even look at the trains at first. I had to go back and watch part of it to look at the trains. We were just looking at the scenery in the background going, oh, that would be so beautiful to be there. Those are awesome videos. The scenery in the background just steals the show. Hi, Z Fantasy. Emma73. No, that does not ring a bell. I'm subscribed to a few American channels, American guys, mostly from Germany, but I have not subscribed to Emma or heard of Emma73. So let me take a sneaky peek at that channel and see what they've got. How have I missed that one? And it's a German channel. How did I miss that? Huh, he's got the same car I got there. Second video. Yeah, how am I not a subscriber? He's got 2,000. How did I miss this channel? Thank you for that. Wow, how did I miss his channel? I'm subscribed to about 15 German American channels. Now, a lot of them I've subscribed to and then I left because they're German rivet counters. And if you think rivet counters in the United States or England are bad, wait till you get to German rivet counters, because they're Germans, which are perfectionists to start with, and then they're rivet counters. Well, hi, Vinny. How are you, sir? Bye, Tony's. So I will check MS73 out because, yeah, definitely Maryland. Um, there is a community. There is a community in the Maryland world that if you use Maryland C-Track, which is what I use, they don't want to talk to you. If you use C-Track, you're beneath them, and they don't want anything to do with you. Even though the vast majority of guys who do Maryland use C-Track, if you use C-Track, they don't want to know you. Even though there are Maryland C-Track, so all you gotta do is look at like the video right below me. That's actually prototype. This is pre-bedded. Yeah, you can see my hand here. This is pre-bedded with this dark grayish, greenish gray stuff. But there are sections of Germany where that's what it looks like, especially in the southwest region of Germany. Hey, Stephen Dullahan, welcome back. No, Jean Ricard. And a Danish guy into Maryland sounds awesome. Garage spam, that's probably why it... I get a lot of suggestions for channels. But no, I don't hear these. So garage spam, let me check that out. Just means more videos I'll have to watch. Okay, so the guy's name is Carl Halkier. So the channel is... Alright, so I'm going to subscribe to this dude. His channel's about the same size as mine. Ooh, that's a nice looking layout. Now, is that... He's using K... Garage spam. He's using Maryland K-Track. And for those of you who don't know or haven't watched any of my videos before, K-Track is 3-rail, but the more realistic, non-pre-bedded, where you build your own ballastine. Hey, Split Rock. Hi there. You worked on German cars for 55 years and have never been to Germany. Well, I've only driven American cars and been to Germany many times. And never driven a German car over there. In fact, I've never driven a car in Germany. I mean, if you haven't figured out by my name, there's only one car brand I drive. For 40 years, I bought my first car in 1980. The last NMRAX event had a great clinic about Japanese trains. Again, I think Japanese trains are cool, but there shouldn't be a but there. And I like to learn from my friend Christopher Sakura Densha when he talks about Japanese trains, mostly steam though. But my interest, I mean, I have a very narrow interest. I like learning from people on their YouTube channels and trying to understand what they're talking about. And when somebody can rattle off, each of you, I can't name one name. I mean, even Tyler at the Lackawanna Rail Fan, his knowledge of a lot of the Lackawanna Erie trains is just amazing, especially for somebody relatively young as he is. Jean Ricard, yes, I am related to the Dodge car company. Distantly, but yes. Tesla. Yes, there's a double-decker bullet train. The French, now, of course, you can't call it a bullet train, but the French have a TGV that is double-decker. Germany, so far, their super high-speed trains are single-deck. Although my double-decker in white, which is, let's come in here. It'll be here in a few seconds. We'll catch it coming through here. This guy is a high-speed train, but not the super high-speed. So this is a double-decker, but it doesn't go as fast as the bullet trains. They are limited to 190 kilometers an hour. So that's like 110 miles an hour, somewhere in there. Unlike the railjet, which can get over 300 kilometers an hour. Not much of a celebrity. I'm related. I'm close enough that I could say yes, I'm related, but not directly related. It was basically my great-grandfather's first cousins started the company. And my great-grandfather actually worked for them. He went up to Michigan and was an engineer with them. And if you guys don't know, there were two brothers, the Dodge brothers, and they were engineers and designers for Henry Ford. A lot of the Model A's and Model T's that made Ford famous, the Dodge brothers had a lot to do with that. And they also had a lot to do with designing the thing with it. But Henry Ford was an arrogant, self-important scumbag that did not believe in sharing credit for anything. And for many years, the Dodge brothers worked for him, doing most of his design work for him. And they finally got fed up with it, and they were trying to tell him that what he was doing could be improved. And we have this quote. It's etched everywhere in the Dodge family. Henry Ford said, "If you sons of..." And you might not like the language here, kids, but this was Henry Ford. It's a quote. "If you sons of bitches think you can build a better car than me, go start your own goddamn company." So in 1913, the Dodge brothers did and began producing cars in 1914. And in 1924 and 1925, Dodge actually outsold Ford. And the two Dodge brothers got very, very rich. That was John and Horace Dodge. And when they started Dodge Car Company, my great-grandfather went up and worked for them as a mechanical guy. But something you may not know is that Dodges don't get along with each other very well. And eventually Horace retired and sold out his shares to John. My great-grandfather quit, so we stayed poor, because his son then my grandfather lost everything in the Depression. And then John Dodge handed the company over to his son, John Dodge Jr., and John Dodge Jr. sold it to the Chrysler Plymouth family. And then John Dodge's wife and kids were killed in a car accident. John Dodge died in a car accident or a plane crash. I forget exactly how it was. But everybody in his side of the family died, and everybody on Horace's side of the family had already been bought out and had died. So there are no heirs left to the Dodge family fortune. There is $40 million, $60 million sitting in a bank in Denver, Colorado that is owned by the Dodge family that nobody's allowed to claim. So it was even on that old 80s TV show, Unsolved Mysteries. And every few years, lawyers would come and we would fill out forms. Even when I was a young man, we filled out forms trying to lay claim to it. And the state of Colorado, because there was no will, nobody left in the will to get the money, So the entire Dodge family always files and says, give us the money because we were part of the company somehow, some way. And the state of Colorado acts as executor and says no. Because they can't keep the money, but they can keep the interest off the money sitting in a bank. Now, if you imagine the interest rate of $40 to $60 million sitting in a bank account, and you can take that money and reinvest it, I think the last time we talked to lawyers said the state of Colorado had earned something like $2 billion off of the interest of that $40 to $60 million fortune. Brian, Dodge was the muscle car. Ford, GM, Chevy, all the GM guys, Chevy, Pontiac, were copycats. Dodge was the muscle car. There's a reason we dominated NASCAR for 2 decades. Although technically the Challenger is a pony car, not a muscle car. Although we lump them all together now. But the Charger, and I own a Charger, and I had a classic Charger. I had a 73 Charger, 73 SE Charger. So there, now you got that family. Oh, that's cool, Nisi. You got, so you carved out the styro for the bridge. Good. Nice. Well, hi, Dwight Curley. How are you? So, there were 2 rules in the Dodge family. There were 2 rules growing up in the Dodge family. You didn't drive Ford. If you weren't going to drive a Mopar, you better not show up in a Ford, and you better not show up in a foreign car. You took grief. I had a cousin who bought a Mercedes and brought it to a family reunion when I was like 15, and the family cussed him out. And if you drove a Ford, they would just stand and make you leave. Ford was the enemy. The hatred of Ford was passed down. My dad, because my dad was a bit of a rebel, he drove Fords forever. And I fought with my dad because my grandfather brought me up Dodge. And my dad was going to make me drive a Ford. And I was like, no. There's a lot of things you can make me do, Dad, but this is my money. I'm going to buy my car. Rick, because I'm not direct descent and my family had quit the company before it had been sold, so we have no legal claim to the money. I'm not directly descended. I am an offshoot. So when John Dodge Jr. died, his wife and kids had already died, so there was no one left to inherit the money. So yeah, we have no claim. See, I'm not directly descended from them. Otherwise, I'd have the money. But all you got to do is go online and look at pictures of the Dodge brothers. And if you shave my beard and mustache off, you go, damn. Because all Dodge men are clones. All Dodge men are clones. It's sickening. My son knew what he was going to look like from a young age, which probably depressed him. Some of us are skinnier or fatter. I'm the tallest. I made it to 6'4". I'm the tallest. But basically, we're all 6'1" and somewhere between 190 and 290 pounds. We're somewhere 6'1" to 6'4". My son is 6'2". Somewhere between 190 and 290 pounds. But we're all clones. Dodge Omnis are a forgotten car, but they were actually very good. In fact, a garage up here has a 1980 Dodge Omni, the one that looked like a VW Rabbit. And it's in gorgeous shape. And those things got 60 miles to the gallon in 1980 and never caught on because, well, Dodge was way ahead. Like the most recent Dodge Darts, they just stopped manufacturing a couple of years ago. Way ahead of their time and did not sell well enough. They sold well, but not well enough. And they're awesome cars. I bought one, and now my son drives it. So right now I have a Charger, a 2014 Charger, a 2015 Journey. My son drives a 2013 Dart. My oldest daughter has a 2015 Avenger, and my other daughter has a 2016 Journey. Bye, Vinny. Thanks for popping in. So, yeah. But the thing is, nobody has claimed. But here's the story. I wanted to finish this up. I've told this in live streams before. But the problem is there is a person who has claim to the money. There is a person alive who could inherit. Well, actually, let's see. The boy is my age. So he's probably got children. There is a woman from Michigan, and she's probably passed away now because she would be in her 80s. And I shouldn't say probably, but she's about the same age as my dad, so she'd be late 80s now. And she has a son same age as me and a daughter. In 1981, she came to the Dodge family reunion, which is in a small town about an hour and a half south of here. At the time, it was called Ada, Ohio. This is all Dodges across the country. And it was always in Ada, Ohio. And she came to our family reunion. And she got out of her car. And she looked like my aunt. Her son could have been my twin brother. Her daughter could have been the twin of my female cousins and my sisters. Just clearly Dodges. And we're like, who's this? Everybody's here. Who's this? But there was no mistaking they were Dodges. And she came up and asked who was head. And at the time, my Uncle Dale was in charge of the reunion. And she says, hi, my name is such and such. And she says, I think I'm related to you people. And we looked at her kids and was like, yeah, you're related to us. And how do you make this long story short? Long story short, she asked if we would all be willing to submit blood tests. And we're like, why? She says, because I think I am the daughter of the last owner of the Dodge car company. I think I'm the daughter of John Dodge Jr., the last. She then explained that she had found out 4 years earlier, that she was adopted from the people who raised her. They said, you were adopted. We weren't supposed to tell you this, but I'm dying of cancer, blah, blah, blah. You were adopted. So the woman said, your real mother was named Olive or blah, 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 blah. And she was a maid for the Dodge family. As in the Dodge car family, Dodge. So she managed to find her birth mother. And her birth mother said, yes, you're my daughter. I got pregnant by John Dodge, from the Dodge family fortune. I got pregnant by him. They sent me away. They gave me a huge trust fund, and I had to give you up for adoption, but that trust fund you had was set up by him. And she says, but I can't prove it. Other than you had a small little trust fund set up for you. So your college was always paid for. You always had money there that you never understood where it came from. That's where it came from. So she traced her mom back and found employment records that she worked for the Dodge family. And she wanted us to give her blood tests so that she could prove she was related to us. Well, we all did. We made a deal with her that she would if she inherited the money. But the problem is, in the state of Michigan, the father has the right to refuse all access to birth records. So her birth records, who her father is sealed and cannot be opened in the state of Michigan. She has no legal recourse, and she had sued Michigan many times. No legal recourse to it. So then she tried to get his body exhumed, and the state of Michigan turned it down, refused to do that. She went to Colorado and tried to get the brother's body exhumed, Horace, and that was turned down. She can't prove it. But there is no doubt her story fits. Everybody apparently knew about it. Everything ties into the family stories passed down. Yeah, Brian, I used to work on my own cars. Now, no, I can't get under cars. And I spent many a winter and a summer day, teenage and older, at junkyards, under old cars, ripping parts out so I could clean them up and put them on other cars. But yeah, that's the... Hey, Kieran, how are you? Nice to have you here. So there. So yeah, we are all clones spread apart. Yeah, so she technically should have all that money. And like I said, it's $40 to $60 million sitting in a bank in Colorado, and nobody can touch it. And we obviously agree. And then the Dodge family fortune and her lawsuits against the state of Michigan were in 1985. That old show Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack. I suppose you could Google and look it up, and you'll get the story. You can go online and Google the Dodge family fortune mystery and learn about it. But yeah, she's all the way she could prove she is a direct descendant of that guy, and thus access to money has been legally blocked in Colorado and in Michigan. So, yeah, my side of the family grew up poor. We occasionally would get mad at our great uncle, because if my great grandfather had stayed working with them, he would have made a small fortune himself. Now, whether he would have lost it all in the Depression, which is what happened to my, because my great grandfather came back to Ohio. He was an older guy, and had a tool and die shop and a mechanical repair shop, which my grandfather ran. And then my grandfather lost everything in the Depression, or almost everything. The only thing I think he was able to hang on to was his house. But my dad was born at the height of the Depression, 1930, that era. And my dad had horror stories of how he would have to go... He lived out in a small town near farms and farms around them. And because he was little, he would be sent under the fence and told to steal carrots, cabbages, or whatever, and bring them back to the family so the family wasn't starving. Because he was an oops baby. My Uncle Dale joined the military and spent years in the military and was a bomber pilot in World War II. If I ever got a piece of that, would I buy an American trade? No, probably not. I don't have the love affair, the connection to American trains. If I had that kind of money, if I ever inherited a piece of that fortune, there are so many things I would buy that have nothing to do with model trains. My dream in life was to have a model for each year of the Dodge Chargers. I mean, a actual car. I've owned a couple of different Chargers in my life, but I wanted a 66 Charger, a 67 Charger, a 68 Charger. I wanted a 69 Charger Raleigh 500. I wanted a 70 Daytona Charger. I wanted a 71 SE, a 72 SE, and then my personal favorite, the 73 and 74 SEs, the A-frames. That's my love affair. Well, hello, Alan from Dragon Junction. So yeah, if I actually got some of that Dodge family fortune, I would have a much bigger house with a much bigger garage with lots of cars. And then maybe a couple extra German trains. But yeah, so buying an American train would be at way at the bottom of that bucket list. Yeah, it'd be like Jay Leno's garage. Yeah. Trust me, I grew up with all the. I mean, it's where my history comes from. My grandfather was a historian as a hobby. I mean, professionally, he was a tool and die man. But his interest was history, family history. And we have, I mean, I could pop it up on screen. We have my family history traced back to the year 1280. I can't name them directly, but I can pull up the sheet and name them. But father to son, father to son, father to son, back 730 years or whatever, 770 years. Hi, Joseph. I do have my health, although a year ago I didn't have my health, but I have it now. It's one of the reasons I'm online today. How are the cats? The cats are fine, mostly. Minnie is still puking every other day, roughly. And the vet who had been working with Minnie has left the veterinary office that we go to and gone somewhere else. So now we got to start all over with a new vet. But I'm tired. Sadly, Joyce deals with it more because she seems to puke in the morning after I leave. So Joyce has to come downstairs and the cat has vomited in the kitchen again. So we can't figure out what she's reacting to, allergic to. Some cats do it as a nervous habit or a displeasure. No, that's fine. Yesterday was Joyce's birthday. She turned 55, and Joyce doesn't hide her age. She's not one of those vain people, hides her age. She turned 55 yesterday. I'm biased. I don't think she looks anything close to 55. She's, somewhere there's a painting of her growing very old and decrepit. But, no, I mean, I can't. I can't sit here, Joseph, and complain about much. I mean, I complain about stuff. I'm human. We complain. I can have a bad day at work, but I have a job. I can complain about how small my house is, but most of the world lives in much smaller, crappier conditions than I live in. I can complain about my job, but it's the job I chose. I mean, if I wanted to make, more money, I had other options to do. I could have stayed in law school. I could have stayed in so many other things I was going into to make money. I could have stayed in the military when I went to West Point and had a long military career and left, retired 20 years as a colonel with that nice government pension and still been young enough to get into another occupation and made money. But I am the sum of my choices. So in the end, if I'm not happy with where I live or how I live, in the end, the only person I can yell at is the person in the mirror. Wait, it's Shirley's birthday? That's right, we're about that time, aren't we? Happy birthday to Shirley. So now, granted, I am, it's hitting me right now that exactly a year from today, I'm out. I'm done. I'm retired. It's been, I do a good video, Joe. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm a good guy in a lot of ways, but I've had my dark days and dark moments that nobody ever seems to believe unless you talk to other people. I grew up a fighter. Not wanting to be a fighter, but I grew up a fighter. I was in hundreds of neighborhood fights. And I grew up a very angry teenager. Joyce tamed me, and not in a bizarre way. Joyce gave me a focus I didn't have before I met Joyce. I was either going to run off to Europe and live some sort of bohemian, drunken, poetic, Ernest Hemingway idiocy, or was going to crash and burn on the highway somehow. Joyce gave me a focus. Will I be doing one every day, a live feed? No. I don't find it hard to do a live feed because all I do is click on and go. And if people watch my trains, and if I'm paying more attention, I'll flip around through the cameras and let people see things close up. And so, I don't know if I would say I fought for what I have now, but I fought just to have the opportunity to have what I have now. I didn't go military as you did, Ray. I did get into college. I started my college career at West Point, and then left West Point because, I don't know. I mean, you can look at it two ways. I hated the plebe system at West Point. I hated it. Maybe I was immature. Maybe I was still too much of a rebel. But I got assigned to a very sadistic senior and hated the jerk, and just, instead of doing what I was told and following orders, I stood up to the little pampered rich boy and got my butt kicked a few times in late night raids to teach me respect of some psycho. If you can picture Niedermeyer from Animal House, that was my my plebe boss, let's say. Ba-dum-bum. And again, I could talk about being poor, but I had a roof over my head. My dad, his family starved during the Depression at times. And maybe I didn't, I always tried to appreciate, I was educated well enough, both family and academically, I was educated well enough to appreciate what my dad went through in the Depression. Not that I went through it myself. And to appreciate that he put a roof over our head and put food on the table. But my dad was such an angry man. He hated life, he hated his job, he hated his marriage, and yet he stayed married for so many years, so he couldn't have really hated his marriage. But he let it be known he didn't like having all the kids he had. And so I grew up with a very definitive hatred of my father. And then after I got married and had my first couple of kids, it changed. And my dad and I actually really started getting along. But then my mother's lifelong issues continued to get worse. And that created another rift in the family, which led to basically me and my family kind of slamming doors on each other. And so So yeah, those are the darker stories you don't hear. I mean, I've mentioned them, but you don't hear them. Um, but yeah, I mean, and I made choices. Joyce and I married young. We could have waited 5, 6, 7 years, built up our income as young teachers, built up the savings, but we had children young. We both wanted to have families young. Joyce just wanted to have babies. And I grew up with, as a young boy, my dad was this tired old man on the couch. Even in his 40s, he was just this guy that came home from work, went to sleep on the couch, woke up and growled through dinner, growled through TV shows, and then fell asleep again. And then next day came home from work and went to the couch. And I wanted my kids to see an alive father. And that was a strong motivation. Because at 18, I assumed you died at 40, the way my father had died. Served on 5 different carriers. And Leslie is back, by the way. Probably announced that 10 minutes ago. But yeah, it just, as John Lennon said, life is what happens while you're busy making other plans. And no truer words were ever spoken. But, we survived the tough times. Joyce and I had times where we were going to lose this house. And really thought we were going to lose this house. But we held on, got through. But, we can criticize kids today. Oh, these kids are spoiled, whatever, but we're the ones that spoiled them. And my kids are very appreciative of what they have, and they all work hard. They always worked hard. Go Navy. I guess I'm an Army guy. Now, the funny thing is, ladies and gentlemen, going back to talking about my family and the Dodges, there's not a major historical event you can go through in this country that doesn't have Dodges involved. If you're a Southerner, especially from Atlanta, you don't like me and my family. Because look at the officer who's in charge of when Sherman ordered Atlanta burned. Look at what officer was in charge of that. His name was Dodge. And my great grandfather served with him, served under him. All the Dodges were in that Union, the 30th Ohio? The 30th Corps from Ohio. And, yeah, we were all involved in that. And if you know the movie Dances with Wolves, they don't use the Dodge name in there, but the guy who wrote the book that Dances with Wolves is based on, the guy who wrote that story about himself, his last name was Dodge. And, of course, the whole Union Pacific, Atlanta Pacific, joining Golden Spike was Grenville M. Dodge, hence Dodge City and Fort Dodge and all that through the Midwest and the West. And if you ever go to Devil's Tower in Wyoming, there's a little plaque that tells you Devil's Tower, which was known as Bear Den to the local Lakota Indian tribes, was given the name Devil's Tower by Colonel Richard Joshua Dodge. So there's not a lot of history. You can find major American events and things in history where there's not a Dodge somewhere involved. For a small family, we're everywhere. And then we're the little car company. Although, there are some rumors that Fiat wants to eliminate the Dodge name and just go down to Chrysler. I think that'd be stupid. They'd probably be better off eliminating Chrysler and just keep Dodge. because Dodge sells better than Chrysler. I'm still mad that when Fiat took over, they took the Dodge name off the trucks. I'm still mad about that. Those are Dodge trucks, not Ram. It was the Dodge Ram. We're still mad about that. You took our name off those trucks. The best pickup trucks in the world. Yeah. Don't give me the Chevy, GM, and Ford crap. Dodge is the best. Muscle cars and pickup trucks. That's what we do. Dodge is currently working on a electric, hybrid version of the Challenger. So imagine the coolness of a Challenger with the greenness of a hybrid, and the horsepower. They're already demonstrating it's got some good horsepower. That's cool, Leslie. And yet you went back to the UK. Or your side of the family never left. And that's one of my things I want to see. I want to see if I can find some distant cousins in in the UK. I mean, at this stage, they wouldn't be any relation. They'd be so far removed. We left England in the 1640s. Is it not here? Or is it in the other stuff? It could be. But that's the problem. Dodge has always been about horsepower over gas mileage, and they've been the slowest to adapt, especially since they were one of the first companies to come up with a super high mileage MPG car, a 60 mile to the gallon Dodge Omni, which didn't sell well. And so they've always been a little late. And so they created the Dodge Dart, which was the first Dodge car, the 2013 Dodge Dart, which was released in 2012, which had... It was considered a compact car, but it had more room than all the Japanese mid-size sedans, and it got better gas mileage than the Hyundais and the Hondas and the Nissans. 35 to 40 mpg highway. And that's why Joyce and I bought it at the time, is we wanted a car that got really good gas mileage, and the Charger and the Challenger didn't do that. My Charger still doesn't get great gas mileage. If you get on the highway, you can get up to 30 miles to the gallon highway, but mostly it's like 20, 25 on the highway and like 15 in the city. But I can't help it. I like Chargers. So does Joyce. Too many thousands of favorite stories about Joyce, but that's one of the newer ones. When we bought that car, her reaction to that car when she test drove it for the first time, to this day, I wish I had a video of it. So there you go. You've got, Gilpin. I could see Gilpin being of French ancestry. So one of the Normans. No, Jean Ricard, I have not. I have messed up a train that needed repairs. I have messed up a train that's needed repairs a couple of times. I left a point open and they crashed, and a couple of things got broke inside and needed repaired. But I've never run it and I've had a couple of people go, you run your trains for 2 hours nonstop. That's not good for them. They'll overheat. I can stop my train right now after 2 hours, and you can feel the bottom of it, you can feel the side of it, and it's cool. These Miraklins are designed for heavy duty running. And I clean them. I service them. No, I don't use re-railers. I get lucky, but part of this is Miraklin Trains and C-Track by Miraklin. They're designed to work together. And how do you say it without offending somebody? That Germanic engineering, that German engineering, okay? It's just ground in. And usually if they derail, it's operator error. But yes, I can run these for 2 hours without a single derailing. I run them, I'm powering 6 trains, but I've got 7 more on this, and I've got 1 power line. I've got 1 power line running this whole layout. So yeah, they are great trains. I am always shocked. And again, remember, I'm only in this hobby for 5 years. I bought my first train in November of 2015. I didn't get my second train till March of 2016, and my third train in April of 2016. Yeah, I still have the dates down. And they were, my first several trains were Miraklin, and all my track was Miraklin, and my controller's Miraklin. And yeah, when I watch other people's videos, when I see some of the guys from the UK, and they talk about the lack of quality in some of the Hornby product and all the derailing issues they have, or there's just the slightest bump in the track and boom, the trains are off. And I'm looking at that, why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? But then on the flip side, an expensive Hornby is the equivalent of $200 American. $200 American is a cheap Miraklin. The cheapest you can get a Miraklin locomotive. Let's see. I've shown this guy before, and I'll take him completely out of the box. And let's go to the, where is it? This one, this guy, and I'll take him out. Now this is a Brava, not a Miraklin, but it's made for the Miraklin system. This was the first locomotive Joyce bought for me. This is the first locomotive I didn't buy for myself. So let me go ahead and take the trains off for a second. In fact, I'll even pause them just for a second. And there it is. So I'm going to hold this with 2 hands. And yes, I have another locomotive just like this running because it's a Miraklin. This is a Brava. This locomotive, first of all, it's heavy. I don't have a scale here, otherwise I'd tell you how many ounces or grams or whatever it weighs. It's definitely more than, I would say this is easily more than 400 grams. I'd say this is probably 500 grams. It probably weighs a pound. So what is a pound? 537 grams? 457 grams, somewhere in there. But yeah, this is that heavy. This locomotive was, now this is not what Joyce paid for, but when it came out was $419. I think Joyce got it for $350, which makes it retail wise, manufacturers, our whatever you call it in England, we call it MSRP, manufacturer suggested retail price. But this is my most expensive loco. It's a non-Miraklin, but it's made for the Miraklin system. And it's a great locomotive. It has lots of functions. It's got a decoder in it, blah, blah, blah. It's DCC ready. No, it's DCC, not even DCC ready. It's got a 21-pin decoder in it. It's got 24 sound and light functions on it. So it's a gorgeous loco. I just happened to get the Miraklin one because the Miraklin had a few more bits on it, but the biggest thing is I wanted a Miraklin to work with the new Miraklin cars I got to go with it. And the new Miraklin one has an announcement. It announces a series of stops, and one of the stops was Delmenhorst, the city I lived in Germany, that I did an exchange program with. So the fact that it mentions Delmenhorst, and it's a model of an exact locomotive Joyce and I rode with, and the cars are the exact cars Joyce and I rode on. Well, not the exact models of the exact cars. But yeah, this is all metal. There's no, well, okay, there's some plastic on the top there. But the top, this little bit is plastic, this gray part, but the white is metal. The gray parts are plastic, but the white is metal. The whole inside is metal. This is a heavy duty guy. It's $400 and some dollars retail. Again, Joyce didn't pay that much. She got it cheaper. And so it better run well. And this guy runs awesome. It better run well when you're putting that kind of money in it. I hear you guys spending 170 pounds. Sam just put up a video of a Black 5, and it's an old retooling. You know, I guess the tool is 20 years old. I think he was saying something like that. And that it was manufacturer suggested retail price was 169 pounds, which is about 200 American dollars, 210 American dollars. And he was saying for the price, it's not worth it. Now, he got it for cheaper and he likes it overall, but he feels it's over. But he's talking about how it's got some of these deficiencies, pulling power and all these things. It's, when it comes to a Miraklin or something made for Miraklin, it better run well. It better, by God, run well. Because when you're putting that much money into it, but Miraklin, and Miraklin makes lesser locomotives. I've got a couple of them that were $200, but those are my cheaper ones, but they still run well. And so when I see people buying Hornby, Bachmann, or the American brands, now I never heard anybody criticize MTH, but I've seen people with, is it Athern? When I hear people talk about that, yeah, Jean Ricard, that's exactly what they are. They are. This is what, again, to beat the dead horse story, this is what got me into model trains. All my trips to Germany, always traveling by train. Never rented a car, never rented a bus. My students and I rode trains wherever we went, and then the public transportation system. And I fell in love with it. And I wanted to recreate that, including what I call my German hometown. Now, I don't have ancestors from Delmenhorst, but it's the city that I grew to know because I lived a month in it every year from 2003 to 2016. And for a kid who grew up not being able to afford to cross the street to have been able for 13, 14 years, take a bunch of his students to Germany, live in this town, and travel to other parts of Germany was an unbelievable pipe dream come true. And Delmenhorst is this small, well, I say small, 80,000, well, 72,000 people, was this amazing small town that was actually once voted ugliest city in Germany. In a German newspaper, they voted it the ugliest city in Germany. What a rip down. But it's my German hometown. It's my German city, and I love it. And I love the people there, and I have a lot of friends there, and also expanded into Bremen, which is also a gorgeous city. But these guys are made to work and made to last. Take care of them and clean them, and I probably don't do as good a maintenance as I should, but yeah, these guys are just, I mean, Brava makes excellent locomotives, period. Just leave it at that. Brava makes great stuff. Am I putting that in backwards? Maybe. Ah, that's why. Da-da-da-da-da. get this out of my hands before the shakes really get bad and I drop it. But if I ever get to 1,000 subscribers, this is being offered as a gift, whatever contest we do. This will be given away. Joyce has already approved it. Because this has a special place because Joyce bought this locomotive, but I don't run it anymore because I got the Märklin one. And the only reason I got the Märklin one is because it mentions Delmenhorst. And Joyce, who's very much, you don't really need a new locomotive, do you? She understood, and she was the one when we were at the shop in Germany said, buy it, buy it. Even though we already had a 146.5, which is what this is called. It's a 146.5. Joyce said buy it. As soon as she heard Delmenhorst, we both laughed and she said buy it. So yeah, my trains are my postcards from Germany. And Mystic left, I'm sorry. Take care, John. Oops. Got to put that back in. Oh well, I'll get it. So my model train hobby is more about just reliving my travels in Germany than it is even about the model trains. And again, that's just one of a list of things that always makes what I consider myself an outsider in German trains or in model trains, is just one more tick on why I'm an outsider. Which is still cool that an outsider can get 20 to 30 people to show up on a live stream where he just babbles and does nothing. But yeah, I do. I love my trains. We had a rule, which is I can't buy a train unless we've ridden on the train or the train we were on was pulled by that locomotive. We broke that with a couple of trains. In fact, Joyce broke it when she bought me the freight train, which I'll probably be running on Friday's stream. I'll probably bring the freight train down, and I haven't decided what else. But I'll have that. Because that's another thing. A lot of people ask me, don't you have any freight trains? I've got one freight locomotive and a rake that consists of freight cars. And Joyce bought it for me. I'm not into freight trains. But I have one, so I run it now and then. Mostly because other people ask about it. So when enough people say, hey, what about a freight train? I'm like, okay, I'll put it in the next show. Even though I only go one way in Germany. I am sure, Jean, that maybe somewhere I have ridden on a train where the control cab went first. I don't remember it. I can't swear to it, but maybe it's happened. I just never think about it. I have the locomotive in front and pulling. In fact, consider yourself very special, Jean. Consider yourself very special. Because I had never run my trains cab forward ever. Other than to do some shunting real quick where they're backing in and pulling out when I'm changing lanes with them. That's the only time I've ever run them backwards. I've never run them backwards. Is just that was the way to run the train. Until you requested it and I did it for you. You're a very special person, Jean Ricard. Yes, with me, it will always be locomotive first. Frustrating as that is. All right, Leslie, take care. Thanks for stopping in. I don't know how long I'll stay on. And that's the thing. I'm a passenger train guy. When I watch the UK sites, now, and again, people have gorgeous trains. A lot of you, I mean... Alan from Dragon Junction is still here. He puts together some gorgeous long freight trains to run around his really cool layout. And others of you do that too. Brian's got some cool stuff for his shunting that he does on his layout when he's got his video going. But yeah, I'm a passenger train guy. And outside the two rail jets, I've ridden on every one of these trains. I had to shrink real small, but I've ridden on every one of these. And I was supposed to be on a railjet last summer. I was going to ride a Czech and an Austrian railjet last summer, and unfortunately, it didn't happen. And then we're not going anywhere this summer, at least anywhere out of the country. I don't know if we're going to fly to Arizona and later in the summer. And Joyce has never seen the Grand Canyon, and we thought we'd fly out there and rent a car and let her see the Grand Canyon. I've seen the Grand Canyon. She never has. I also wouldn't mind stopping off in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. But anyhow, yeah, so I've been on metronomes. I've been on all the ICEs. Been on, and that's why I have this American model I mentioned. Quick, where is it? This locomotive and the numbers on these cars are identical to the one Joyce and I rode from Delmenhorst to, what was it? It didn't go all the way to Dresden. The Battle of Nations. Leipzig. That's it, Leipzig. We rode it to Leipzig, and then we got on a different one from Leipzig to Dresden. But yeah, that ICE2, not ICE2, that IC2, that double-decker white one is, I mean, you guys that have this situation know that to have a model of a train you've actually ridden on is the coolest of model train stuff. If you've seen it, it's cool. But if you've actually ridden on that exact train with that exact cars, with that exact locomotive, I mean, to me, that's the coolest thing in the world. Whoops. Wrong button, wrong button. There we go. Hey, there's Randall. Hi, Randall. And I do, you know, if I'm subscribed to your channel, and here's the thing, you know, I think Sparky 107 said he's subscribed to a couple of thousand channels. I'm subscribed to about 250. Not all of them are trains. 260. 15 are German train channels. About 20 or 30 are history or comedy channels. And then the rest are all of you people that come here. UK and American trains. More UK trains than Americans. That's a long story why I got on the UK channels first. And I just love the guys that love running their trains. And I don't care if you're running a 4-foot long loop on your kitchen table like this. This is the first time I ran a model train. First time I ran a model train, December 26th, 2016. This is the first time I actually ran a model train. The train I got for my birthday in December of, well, actually I bought it in November, but I got it. It was given to me in December for my birthday. And then the track my kids ordered from Germany didn't arrive until after Christmas. So December 16th, December 26, 2016, that's the first time I ran a train. That's the first time I ran a model train. So it's this. Yeah, Jean Ricard, I have been as far north as Lubeck, and then on the west coast, I didn't make it up to Flensburg. I was close to Flensburg, but I didn't make it up there. Some little village on the coast south of Flensburg. on the North Sea coast there. So I've been to Schleswig-Holstein. Joyce and I do want to get up to Denmark someday. We'd like to get up to, I would like to go to Kiel and Flensburg. And then Copenhagen or Copenhagen, or Hafen in German, Copenhagen. That's definitely on the bucket list. Oh, you had a meal on a train that was being pulled by the Flying Scotsman. Were the cars classic too? Were the passengers cars and were those older cars, or was it new cars pulled by the old locomotive? I was gonna say that was pretty soon. Your videos go before that. But you've got a heck of a layout, Brian. What you're building in the area you've got is just gorgeous. You do great stuff. And again, I know I'm lucky. Again, I won't complain. I've got this big table that a lot of people would dream to have the area I have. And a lot of people have let me know, oh my God, the space you waste. If you had done this and you had done that, you could be running 3 times the track footage and blah, blah, blah. If I had that kind of space, you know what I would be doing? I know. And I'm not going to apologize for wasting space in their opinion, but a work in progress. Yeah, so's mine technically. But again, you've got a special one going there, Ray. Not only, again, Ray, you've got the stories that I'm jealous of, because even though it's 95% new, I mean the track, there is a history to that layout. There are pieces of that layout that go 3 layouts back. I mean, isn't some of that back to your grandfather, I think you said, or your father? I wish I had something here that was connected to my grandfather. Yes, there is so much to see in Jutland. It's just Copenhagen, sort of like the main town in Denmark. I apologize for saying that. But come on, yes, the sides, the small towns are gorgeous. And when Joyce and I travel, we try to stop off in the small towns too. Not just hit the famous cities, but hit the small ones. But, if we go up there, we'll hit the big town and the little towns. So, I mean, that's an amazing story, Ray. That's, like hover motion from the UK. A lot of that layout started with his best friend who got him into model trains and then died of cancer, and he's agreed to keep the layout going. I mean, that's a beautiful story. It's a sad story, but it's a beautiful one. So, if you're making your first layout ever, like me, or you've got that amazing history, the channels I subscribe to, it's because you like what you're doing. And I like what you're doing. I like that you like what you're doing. You got a great story. And let's, at the risk of saying something stupid, if we met away from trains and talked politics, we might go off on each other and not like each other. But, a hobby, whether it's bowling or trains, is a way you could say, hey, you know what? Maybe that guy's not a bad guy. I disagree with his politics, but he's not a bad guy. And so, or different nationalities. How many UK channels I'm subscribed to. Different regions of the UK. And Ireland. You got Mark, who was here earlier, Donegal Dad, up in Donegal, Ireland. Yeah, St. Mary's, Stewart. At St. Mary's is a gorgeous one. Colwich Junction is a great one. Greenfield is building a great one. Green Hill, not Greenfield, Green Hill. I've got so many. There's a couple of guys I'm subscribed to that have 140, 150 subscribers, and I'm like, why do I have 5 times as many subscribers as they do? Because they have 5 times the layout I do. But again, because he's here, I mean, we can, Ray, just not, see, the minute I name names, I feel bad for everybody's name I don't mention. That's the type of person I am. But just 2 people here. Ray has been about his train for 7 years or more on YouTube. He's got a great story there. If you're not subscribed to Ray, because you only subscribe to UK or German channels or whatever, get over it. Ray has got a great channel where you follow this amazing build, and Ray just has the type of personality that makes you want to watch the next video. Alan at Dragon Junction is the same way. The reason you go to Alan's page, he's got a great layout, he's got a great story behind it, but it's the personality. And everybody else here, your personalities, your channel, Stuart, Kieran, you know, and all the people I'm not naming, and I feel bad for not naming. Your channels are awesome. All of you. That's why I subscribe to you, and that's why I comment on every video. Do my compliments get repetitive to you? Well, you'd have to decide that. Great job. Cool video. I love that train. I love how you did this here. That's exactly what you said last time, Dodge. Well, I've been commenting for 4 or 5 years on people's YouTube channels. There's only so many adjectives in the English dictionary. And because I know what I did to put a video up on YouTube and the criticisms I can take for it, and I know what other people have gone through. That's why I will always leave a comment. If I subscribe to your channel and you post a video and I didn't comment on it when it came out within a day, you probably need to kick me in the butt because I missed it somehow. But I'll usually catch it the next time you put out a video and I go back to your channel. It's the personalities. And there are some guys here that have taken unnecessary and unfair crap for things that happened on their channels, or somebody didn't get their joke or something like that. Yeah, and Lee's got another great story. All right, you know, some people will kid Lee or tease Lee. Lee is not a guy that was a model train guy. He's like me. He wasn't a model train guy, which is probably what it... All right, he listed himself... The first video I ever saw of Lee, he had what was called He was Anfield Road. All right? Anybody who doesn't know, Anfield Road is where... Well, actually, both Everton and Liverpool have their soccer stadiums on Anfield Road. But he had a bridge which had a Liverpool slogan on the bridge, and I was like, I was hooked on his page, okay, just because he's a Liverpool guy. But then you learn Lee's story. Lee inherited this, okay? Lee is not somebody who grew up building model layouts. He inherited this. It was in very bad shape, and Lee is trying to learn, and I hope Lee doesn't mind me saying it that way. Lee is trying to learn how to build a model railroad with one that was already in horrible shape, and he's trying to learn to custom build, and he can't dump a lot of money into it. He has to nickel and dime it, as many of us do. All right, not me. I shouldn't say us. I don't nickel and dime anymore. And there's a great story there, okay? And, you know, last year we teased Lee about the hammer stuff. All right. And then we move on. And if it's not your cup of tea, you move on. But there's a great story there as to what he's doing. All right, Melvin, take care. Hey, Dongle Dad, you were here earlier. You left, and we were just talking about you and your back. So to me, it's the personality of the person on there. And I don't know enough about most of you already. I would like to know more about a lot of you. I'd like to know your stories, and I don't memorize. Some of you talk to each other on Facebook, everything, and you all know about each other's kids and who's sick in the family and who's that, and I don't know that in most cases. I try. Hello, Nancy. And it's just, I try to subscribe. When you look at this, I mean, this is where I feel really bad. I have 165, 170 subscribers. I could look, but I'm lazy. Last week I was in the upper 860s, so I don't know where it went. I subscribe to 215 model train channels. So there's a lot of people subscribed to me that I did not subscribe back to in return. I feel guilty about that. I feel bad about that. In some cases, I don't even know who subscribed to me to know their channel. In some cases, what they put on their channel doesn't draw me in. So if you guys catch these stories. Ray, a 3-generation layout. Stephen Dallahan, gifted by an uncle. These are awesome stories. I don't have that connection. I don't have the great memories of playing with trains with my dad as a kid and then sharing it with my kids. My kids were grown up and gone before I started trains. And by the way, talking about Lee, let's not forget all the stuff Jackie's built. Jackie built an amazing memorial section, and she's built some other things too, but she built this whole Remembrance Day section near his church on Lee's layout. Yeah, and there's a lot that don't have content. And I'm subscribed to a few of the big channels. Like I think, I'm subscribed to Sam, and he's the biggest. I think next from him, I'm still subscribed to Will, but Will hasn't put out new stuff in a year. And then Everard Junction. I think Everard's well over 65,000 now. So I'm subscribed to a few of the big channels, but usually I tend to... usually if you have... I was subscribed to Luke Towan, but I'm not anymore. He does awesome stuff, but I just don't watch his videos. When he posts, I'll watch... he posts a 45-minute video. I'll watch 5 minutes of it and then say, okay. Because he's not just doing trains. He's doing... And the dude is amazingly skilled. He's an artist, okay. I'm not violating my rules. It's just his content, as awesome as it is not what I'm looking for on YouTube. If I'm watching, I'm looking for guys running their trains. Did Everard just put another one up? He's done it since I last checked. And I have had a couple of conversations with Everard, not live, just he will reply to one of my comments on his video, because I also share his passion for cars, and we've talked about cars briefly, but he'll respond, I'll respond, he'll respond, because he doesn't respond to a lot of his commenters, and he doesn't usually respond to me, but we've had a few conversations over the 3-4 years. The only thing I would love to know from Everard Junction, and this is self-promotion for a minute, I've never been able to work up the courage to ask him. But many of you know I did that horrible singing, but very funny lyrical Everard Junction song to the Beatles' Paperback Writer. I would love to know if he ever saw that. I just don't have the courage to ask him myself. But if somebody actually talks to him and asks him, did he ever see it? And then apologize for how horrid my singing is. But Joyce wasn't up to doing that one. I do have a song that Joyce will probably be singing. I don't know if we'll have it on the coming live stream, but we do have a new song. Actually, I have several songs written, and the music just haven't recorded yet, but this one we've been working on the video. Yeah, I'm subscribed to Miracle of Sweden. And in my opinion, he's as good as Luke Towan, but he keeps it focused on trains. And I have Kathy Millett, who I think is genius. I've talked about it before, but you know, she was on the Great Model Railway Challenge, and Gary at Cheeky Tech, when I was first talking to him, and we had a lot of talks online, again, talking via YouTube, live streams and stuff. Gary misunderstood me at one point. I talked about fake drama, and I felt that Kathy Millett was victimized by fake drama in the Great Model Railway Challenge. Not that the drama and the building stuff was fake, but you know, where the producers are, we want to film you looking really bossy and mean, you know, and they film her where she's going, you've got to get that done now, and you're doing a lousy job, you know, where I don't think that's her real personality, because she never shows that personality in her actual videos. And all of a sudden she's coming across, you know, very bitchy, and I didn't like the way they made her act, that fake drama, so that they could then get a response from one of the team leaders saying, well, I don't care what she says, you know, we've got to do what we can do, blah, blah, blah. You know, and that's the fake drama, where the directors and the producers come in and fake that interaction, trying to create a drama that isn't really there. It's dramatic enough. People are trying to build, in 3 8-hour building sessions, they're trying to build a full layout on a theme that may not be their desire. And I enjoyed that show. I felt the second season really lost a bit, which is probably why they didn't renew it, because they got carried away with the stupid side of the show. But I felt Kathy Millett was done a disservice by the way they edited her to make her look really nasty in a couple of episodes. But again, you know, if I want perfection and trains, I can go to those guys, you know, and some people. Now, there are a couple of guys I was subscribed to that I dissubscribed. For example, there is a very popular channel that has, I don't know, last I checked, they had 15,000 subscribers, a UK channel, who visited my channel a couple of times and tore me a new one on their show. They didn't name me, but it was clear they were talking about me. This American bloke who runs German trains, and he doesn't build anything. He doesn't do, you know, and he was just tearing me apart for a couple of things I was doing in my videos. It was clear he was talking about me, even though he didn't name me. He was close. And I didn't appreciate that. And then I did a video where I talked about him talking about me, and I didn't name him. And then he ripped me again, and I was like, really? So I unsubscribed from that person's channel. There's another person, a big UK site, whose ego is so out of control at times, I unsubscribe from him. Bye, Stuart. Take care. Thanks for hanging out this long with me. Hello, Northern Ohio Railroad Action, fellow Ohio base. Well, I don't know if you're in Ohio. I thought you said you live near Cleveland. I'm in Toledo. I unsubscribed from his channel because, again, he would talk down about other people's channels. He's awesome and everybody else sucks. And these people suck, and these people, it's like, I don't see the need to talk another channel down. You know, show your stuff, take your compliments graciously. Don't rip on somebody else. And if somebody else puts out a video, Yes, keyboard warriors, although that kind of gets misused. Uh, but the people that come in and just feel the need to tear you apart, they because they can. Um, you know, part of my job, look, I'm a public school teacher. There's not a day there isn't an article, a newspaper, a news report saying how we suck. I'm a public school teacher in the United States of America. There isn't a day my job, my profession doesn't get attacked publicly. So you got to have a thick skin. And I'm a published writer. You got to have a thick skin. And then on top of that, I have the embarrassing need to embarrass myself. So I write comedy video songs and I sing knowing how bad my song is. Only because I can't find somebody else who will sing for me. Joy started singing for me, and she's got a much more pleasant voice than I have. But Joy started singing for me. But there's some songs she won't sing. And then I did this Matt Clark bit. So I'm putting myself out there. I'm inviting. You know, when you put yourself out there like that, let alone put your layout or your trains out there, but when you put yourself out there, you put a video up on YouTube, a target comes with it, and you're going to get shot down. You're putting yourself out there, and some people just will put their trains and what they've built and leave it at that. And that's, I mean, I got nothing to offer you about trains. You guys sit here and watch my trains go around or listen to me babble, because you're never going to see me building something on a layout. In fact, you haven't seen me build anything on a layout in a year. It's been a year since I last built anything on my layout. Other than Luma's not here to tease me about my Orange Village, because if you look in mirror image sucks. If you look in, oh my god, that quarter down there, the Orange Village is now gray. It's a gray village now. It's no longer orange, it's gray. I took them all out and I primed them. And so I did take them out and I primed them. And but the last thing I did was the Fowler car. Now, since I worked on the Fowler car, I had a severe back injury last year that had me in therapy for 5 months. I deal with the shoulder problem and the shakes, but it's also because it discouraged me, and I quit working on it because I had it working and decided to streamline it, and it screwed everything up. And I just haven't been in the mood to go down and fix it because everything else in the world happened. And then other things happened. Being a grandpa happened, and that doesn't detract me from doing work, but all right, Randall Ellison, take care. Thanks for stopping by. And in the end, that's why I subscribe to the people I subscribe to. The people, no matter how fancy your layout is, because I won't criticize anybody, because what do I do? The people who love trains love to show their trains. Yeah, there was somebody else, because Pete Clark, I finally talked to Pete Clark. Talked to him. He was in a couple of streams for the first time in over a month last week. Somebody else I can't remember that was around. Oh man. There's a few people that I was used to talking to several days a week, and I haven't seen them in a long time. Some I know what happened to them, but others, there's a few people. Aha. And see, Jean, I want to go to Denmark. I want to go to Denmark because the DSB has a lot of cool trains, and I need an excuse to buy a couple of them. I need to go to Norway because Norway has a high-speed train that I love, and I can get a model of for real cheap in AC, but I need the excuse. So yeah, Denmark, definitely have to do that. So yeah, Denmark's got some gorgeous trains. Every country does, let's face it. Oh, where did I go with that? Where did I go with that? Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. Oops, something went wrong. That link did not work. So whatever it was, that link did not work. Jean. I'll try it again. Oh, okay, Randall. Yeah, you got your lights up. Okay. Just won't be able to chat. Okay. Yeah, that link is not working, Jean. Double check it. Or just type the name of it and I'll Google it. But, yeah, it's, I mean, I repeat myself over and over. But, yeah, when you put yourself out there, whether you put a video out there, it's a target. And fortunately, for the most part, we don't take a lot of abuse for it. But we do take some, or you can take some, especially if you choose to do stupid comedy like I do. That's my offering to the world, stupid comedy. I think there's a lot of clever stuff in the comedy too, but there's a lot of stupid stuff. But again, if I watch somebody's channel, it's not what I'm into, I'm not going to say, you suck, and move on. Or, you know, and leave my displeasure with you. I'm not even going to give you a thumbs down. I'm the one who chose to click on your channel. Why am I going to give you a thumbs down? You put something out. I'll just leave, and I won't subscribe. I made the mistake one time of offering an opinion on a page because the person in the video asked for an opinion, and then I said, well, I don't like to give opinion, but here's what I think, and then they fired back at me. Well, that's not what I was asking, and I didn't want an opinion about that. I was like, I thought you did. It sure sounded like you asked for an opinion on that. So I won't even give an opinion now. I'm either going to say I like it or I love it. Aha. Yeah, let's try this one again. Still not working. I don't know why. Maybe my YouTube's not working or something, but I keep getting that not working. What's all the Facebook? Oh, okay. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. Usually I'm not that active on Facebook, but I'm getting a lot of... No, yeah, I was talking about this before you came in, Nora. I'll call you Nora until I learn your real name. I'm not a rail fanner where I'll go out and take video and watch trains go by, especially American trains. In Germany, because I travel by train all the time when I'm in Germany, when I get to a station, especially a station like Hamburg or Munich or Nuremberg, the really big stations, then yes, Joyce and I will go and look at the trains, usually to see trains we haven't seen before, or because we're walking through the station to catch another train and we're just looking at all the trains that are there. So I'm not a big rail fanner, train spotter. So the only way I could even say yes is that when we're in Germany and we stop at a station, we go check it out. But otherwise, no. And again, that's not a knock on anybody who does it. It's awesome, and I like to watch people's videos. Again, I prefer passenger trains over freight trains, but yeah, you know, if it makes you happy, why should I knock it? As long as you're not hurting somebody else, why should I knock what you do? It's just, there's a lot of things I can knock people about, but if I knock people, it's because of how you treat other people. That's what I knock people for, is how you treat other human beings. That's the only thing I'll ever knock a human for, is how do you treat other humans? All humans, not just ones you like. All humans. It's easy to treat somebody you like well. That IC3 and the railjet. Good timing. Almost like I planned it. Oh, and the third one coming through. Yeah, and that's the thing. And for the umpteenth time, again, it's what got me into trains, was actually riding them. I did not grow up. I mean, like a kid, in 1969, 6 years old, my dad bought me my first model train. And I barely played with it. And then we moved houses into a room where I didn't really have room to set it up. And even when I did set it up and run it, I'm sorry, I was a horrible child. It was boring. A train going in circles, no lights, no sound, just running in circles, turn the knob, run it backwards, meant nothing. Riding on trains in Germany and then buying a German model train and, oh, look, it makes sounds and lights and you can do this with it and I can do this. I can make pantographs go up and down. Okay, I don't have a train that does that yet. My IC4 will have that. I'll show that off when I get it. Just tell me the name of the channel. Well, let's see if this one works. Here we go. Ha-ha! That one worked, Jean. That one worked. Yeah, I was watching that too, Lee, until the camera got eaten. Or Lee, Alan. I was watching that too. Joyce and I were popping that up on the big screen TV and watching that. Because the only other way we've seen Iceland is from like 34,000 feet in a plane flying over Iceland on the way to or back from Europe. Greenland and Iceland. And usually there's clouds over it. Usually you don't fly directly over Iceland because of the volcanoes. But we had that experience once. Look, honey, that's Iceland down there. Why, so it is. Rubbing all the frost off the windows. But, yeah, we were watching that, the volcano. And then slowly the end of the two cameras set up. Which is about as close as I want to get, is somebody else filming it. I don't really need... Even if I went to Italy, I would love, to go to Pompeii and see the ruins. But no, I'm not getting that close to Vesuvius. No. Oh, he does. Okay, I will check that, Jean. I love it when people do that. In fact, I haven't done it yet. I was going to steal a video clip Alan did. From his running session recently where Alan had all the dramatic music and showing his trains, and it was really cool video. Just absolutely cool video. But being me, I made the comment on Alan's video where it was like, the music was so dramatic and it really made the whole thing, the whole video cool, super cool. But the music was so dramatic and the train stopped. One train stops and there's this really dramatic music, and I made the joke that, like, I expected David Attenborough, the famous documentary guy, Richard Attenborough's brother, I expected him to hop off the train and just the railway system of the United Kingdom. And I was just going to green screen me dressed as David Attenborough, except this isn't being shaved off, I'm sorry. but I was going to spend a few days working on a David Attenborough accent, and I was going to splice me into that video and then have myself getting hit by the next train coming through. So I was going to put myself into one of Alan's videos. I was going to have myself step off and start doing David Attenborough from all those nature, biology documentaries. And I was just going to have myself step off like I was about to do a David Attenborough train documentary, and then get run over by that next train that comes through in the video. I thought that would have been hilarious. I might still do it, but now that I've said it, I don't know. But I was going to green screen myself doing David Attenborough. The British train system has been around for about 150 years. This old girl is the Royal Scot, and she has been... Next train comes through and kills them. Here in the hills of eastern Wales, the trains run as they always have, and just gone in. So I especially now that I'm going to be out of work in a couple of days and have free time, and bought a new green screen setup so I can finally do some better green screening. I tested it when I did that Rusty Twanger commercial a few weeks ago. Oh, it was grand stuff, Alan. I loved it. Which is why I hesitated doing it, because when somebody makes something really cool, I don't want to mock it because maybe it demeans the work they put into it. But it was just so dramatic. I felt David Attenborough, I made that comment. You mentioned, you replied to it. I just felt, and again, I wasn't being sarcastic. It was just that dramatic. The music was just so, it sounded like one of those great scientific shows, one of those great history shows. I mean, I suppose I could do, what's his name? Tony Robinson, Baldrick from Blackadder, and he does that Time Crew. What's his show called? The Time Crew, Time Team, right? He does all those. But, the UK documentaries have those amazingly dramatic entrances. And I wanted to splice myself in as David Attenborough stepping in. But then the reason I was going to make it comedy is because just as I was talking about, David Attenborough should be stepping down right there. Your other train came flying through and would have run him. As I'm picturing it, I was like, and Joyce was sitting with me. I go, and then he gets hit by the other train. Thump. And then I said, oh my God, that would be funny. You should have. That was awesome stuff. But that's like when I did Everard Junction, I was not trying to, I got accused by a couple of people of trying to capitalize on Everard Junction's name. That's why if you go to the tags, I don't even mention Everard Junction in my tags, because I did not want people thinking I was trying to increase my viewership or that by naming Everard Junction. So I did not name him in that Everard Junction video. I did not tag him or anything else. So certainly wouldn't do that to try to spike viewers. I've toyed with buying a couple of thousand viewers, what the heck. You'd hop the freight trains. That's a cool story. I did one stupid thing in my life. When I was 7 years old, right after I got my first model train, when I was 7 years old, we rented a house. My dad was renting this house. It was a nice house with a big yard, and way in the back of the yard were train tracks, and freight trains would come through. Old boxcars. This is 1970 United States, Toledo, Ohio. So I assume it was a lot of Baltimore and Ohio B&O boxcars and stuff. And we would always go and put pennies and nickels on the track and let the trains run over them and get the flattened coins. Well, one time a train was coming really slow. A train was passing through really slow, and we rolled under the cars and had the cars going over us. I was 7 years old. My friends and I just dared each other to stupidity. And we actually hopped under one of the cars and laid on the tracks and, waited for 3 or 4 cars. Thank God it didn't speed up, but it was going so slow that we then hopped back out from under it. Stupidest thing I ever did in my life. Well, I don't know. One of the stupidest things I ever did in my life. Yes, Joe, Glacier Express is on the bucket list. Again, last summer, Joyce and I were supposed to we were going to spend a little bit of time in Switzerland, and we were looking at that. But otherwise, no real fun experience with trains. Never rode a passenger train. Never. My biggest experience with trains was I'm running late for work and the train's making me late. That was my. I probably had a lot more negative run-ins with trains than positive as growing up. It wasn't until I started riding them in Germany that the love affair began. You just hopped on them. No, I got under it once, and stupidest thing I ever did. Scared the crap out of me. My mom saw us coming out from under the train, looking out the back window, and that may have been the hardest she ever whooped my butt. She whooped my butt a few times, but that may have been the hardest. Yeah, that... And then, of course, because parents didn't understand that double jeopardy in the United States is against the law, she whooped my butt good, and then my dad came home from work. And Mom, of course, do you know what your son did today? And then my dad was like, son, what the hell were you thinking? And off came the belt. So parents didn't understand. You could quote the Constitution to them, but parents didn't understand. Wait a minute, I've been punished for this crime already. The U.S. Constitution says I cannot be punished for a crime twice. My parents were anti-constitutionalist. Totally unfair. I don't know how much money you'd have to pay me to do that as slow as that train was moving to ever do that again. I don't think you could pay me enough money. Maybe $1 million, but nobody's going to offer me $1 million to do that. Ping! Ooh, very cool, Randall. Very cool. I just got a picture. Randall's sitting in front. It's in front of what I consider the typical looking BNSF loco. He just sent me a picture of it. Come on, where is it? So, there you go. Randall just sent me that picture. That's what Randall is doing right now, or where he's at. So everybody who's had a BNSF model railroad like Vinny and so forth, that's what I expect to see. I hate watching myself. I mean, what are other crazy things I have done? Okay, again, I'm a city boy. My mom was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and grew up in Tennessee before she came to the Toledo area and met my dad. Yeah, Randall, I already showed it. I already saw it, and I just showed it on the stream. Okay, let's talk about, I think we all have stupid things. I rode on the top of my friend's Ford Mustang II, the little one, while he was doing 60 miles an hour in a big parking lot. I had my hand inside the two windows, one on each side, and was laying across his hood, well, the roof of the car, and down the back, and was hanging on through the windows on both sides. my hands locked into the window frames of the two doors, hanging on while he went 60 miles an hour through the parking lot. That was also a stupid thing. Hi, Colin. How are you? No, no, no. No, Colin. No, my mom would scare Don a lot. Even Don a lot would look at my mom and say, "That's too much." Guys will get me talking about that show again. My magnum opus, the greatest thing I ever wrote. Well, okay, of a non-serious nature. I've written a lot of funny little tidbits and stuff that I've shared with family and friends over the years. One of my, I did this comedy bit in high school where I created a Catholic priest. I was Reverend Dodge, but I was a progressive Catholic priest. And so I wrote this Catholic priest trying to offer ideas to modernize the church. And one of the things he did was Reverend Dodge's Toot and Tell drive-through confessionals with fast lane service for 7 sins or less. Though, drive-through restaurants had, obviously becoming really big in the late 70s, early 80s. And so he was like, the church should catch up with this and cash in on this. So Reverend Dodge's Toot and Tell drive-through confessional with fast lane service for 7 sins or less. I also created a religion called Presbyterianism. This was all just to piss off the Catholic priest at my high school. No, I tried to avoid being handcuffed by the police. I definitely, I had law and order parents, and I violated safety procedures, and I would speed heavily. I've gotten a few tickets in my life, but would never do anything that would result in me getting handcuffs. Even my friends, some of them belonged to gangs, when they went off to do things that could involve police, I was like, no, thank you. I had hopes of getting out. All right, Mark, take care. Thank you for popping in. You had a birthday? Happy birthday as well, because yesterday was Joyce's, and we were celebrating. Although the biggest memory of police in my neighborhoods was the bribes they were taking. The local drug dealers throwing wads, handing them envelopes, handing them cash. The cops looking 2 ways and driving off. And you're heading down to Dublin. You get to go to a model shop. Cool. That sounds really nice. But a belated happy birthday to you, Mark. I had a healthy fear, not only of the cops, but of my dad's reaction if I had a run-in with the cops. Wow, so you and Joyce, May 25th, huh? Okay, that'll be easy to remember. We'll celebrate your birthday a year from now when we come up to, well, actually, it'll be a couple of weeks after your birthday, but we'll be coming up to Donegal, Ireland sometime next June. And that's the other thing. All the people that actually want to meet us when we come to the UK and Ireland, we're going to have to build our itinerary and then say, all right, where can we meet? Like, a bunch of you here and then a bunch more here. Maybe not that many people want to meet us, but we figured if we're over there, we'll try to meet as many trained people as want to meet us. I mean, granted, I would like to meet a few people and actually see their trains running, because we will be in Wales. So I can think of a couple of Welsh people. We're going to hit all 4 of the countries, including the divided Ireland, both Northern Ireland and Main Ireland. We're going to be there a month, so we got plenty of time to do everything. But, so yeah, I had a healthy fear of my father to avoid getting into trouble. But also, I didn't want to be like the other kids in my neighborhood that were getting arrested at 10, 11, 12, 13. I had goals. I wanted to be the first kid in my family to go to college. I wanted to be the first kid to graduate college. I wanted to get out. I wanted to be the first one in my family to, move really forward. And I had 3 older sisters that got into all that trouble. 3 of my older sisters all got into that trouble. Now, one of them actually wound up in her 30s straightening her life out, and late 30s, early 40s straightening her life, went back to college, got a master's in mechanical engineering, and now she makes probably 5 times as much money as I do, and she's been all over the world as part of her job. But so in some ways I'm jealous now, which probably would make her really happy to hear that. But I was never competitive with my siblings. They thought I was, but my goal was just, I didn't want to get locked into a dead-end future. I didn't want to do anything that was going to put a black mark that a college or a high school or something like that could use against me. So I was always subversive in my misbehavior, very subversive. And that may be Nancy. And again, I can understand that too. My sister was that way. She had very much anything boys can do, I can do. Joyce has that attitude. Joyce does not like being treated, if you want to make Joyce mad and see a darker side of Joyce, give her the women belong over there attitude. Joyce does not like it when men mansplain to her. She's like, honey, I know more about baseball than you do. Or I know more about this than you do. Shut up. She knows her sports. She grew up a very competitive athlete. And so she doesn't like it even when I joined a train club and she came with me, she wanted to sit at the table and talk the trains and the travel, and this club was very divisive. The men sat, and the ladies went over there. The ladies weren't into the hobby. Joyce sat with the men because she wanted to talk travel and trains, and some of the men were like, go sit with the wives, and she did not like that. And so one meeting, a couple of the wives came up, oh, you're Joyce, right? Oh, come with us. And they dragged her away. And the car ride home, she was like, I did not want to sit there and talk to those biddies. And oh my God, all they wanted to talk about was shopping and, where they bought their fur coat and blah, blah, blah. Definitely not her cup of tea. Because, yeah, Joyce was a tomboy, is a tomboy. You work. So again, the problem is if you talk like this, people can assume you're being judgmental on that, and it's not. It's me. If anybody had the problem, it was me. And yeah, I've got a couple of friends that wound up spending a lot of time in prison, let's say. And if you want to judge me harshly, when they started getting into trouble, I ended the friendships. I was like, you can't take me down with you. I will help you up, but I will not be dragged down. And again, that's not commenting on anybody else's situation. That's me and mine. I cut the cord on a couple of friends because I wanted to go here and they wanted to go there. And they wanted me to go down with them. And I didn't have that code. I've seen friends who had the code. I had a friend of mine trying to do well, trying to get through school and maybe make some better of himself. Some friends picked him up. He went for a ride with them. They went in and knocked over an armed robbery of a liquor store. And he had nothing to do with it. And he was an honor student, not at the same high school I was. He was a neighborhood friend, but I went to a different high school. And he got arrested. Somebody recognized him as he was driving away and didn't recognize the other guys. And they said, yeah, it was so-and-so. And he got arrested for it. And he would not drop a dime on his friends. He would not rat them out. He didn't even know that's what they were going to do. And they did that to him, but his neighborhood pride, his friendship loyalty was such that he wouldn't rat them out. And I would have been, if those idiots had done that to me, I would have been ratting them out. I did not know they were going to do that. They just said we were going for a ride and going to stop at a carryout and blah, blah, blah. And they come running in. I'm like out of the car. And they set him up, and he spent 4 years in juvie prison for it, for armed robbery, because he wouldn't rat him out. And he had scholarships. He had potential sports scholarships. And he threw it away for loyalty to friends. And I used to always tell him, how are these friends loyal to you? They let you take the fall for their crime. And, I'd always get you don't understand, man. You don't understand. And I'm like, I understand plenty. You're stupid. You don't rat on your friends. Yeah, I do. I won't intentionally go out and rat on them, but if they set me up where I'm going to go down, hell yeah, I'm ratting on them. Which is probably why my circle of friends is small. And getting smaller. Because I just, I 16, 17, I'm not going down that path. So yeah, I had a healthy fear of getting into serious trouble or any trouble. But doesn't mean I didn't do things to be subversive. Had a lot of fun in high school doing things that I would have gotten kicked out of my high school for doing. We built a phone system between our lockers in high school. There was I don't know why, but between our lockers and the cement walls that the lockers were attached to, from the back of our locker, there was a 14, 15-inch wide crawl space. And we had permanent lockers. Our junior year, you were assigned a locker for 2 years. And you could push that back. And we had a small friend, a real skinny, short dude, Jim Sampson. And he crawled. And we ran phone wires and had a little battery back there to power it all up, a little Delco battery back there, and we ran a full phone system in our lockers. And nobody got the wiser. And then we turned around and put a mini Culligan thing back in that crawl space, and we ran PVC piping and had drinking fountains in our lockers. And we had that for a year and a half from the time we realized what we could do. So it was, so my stuff was subversive. Because my high school was always looking for a reason to kick kids like me out. Kids from the other side of the tracks. Which is funny now that you think about it. My high school started with 240 kids in our freshman class. Graduated 178. So that meant 62 kids were asked to leave or left. They didn't like us poor kids in their school. They don't like the working class and poor kids in the school. Unless you were a star athlete. If you were a star athlete, then they were then they were happy with you. Heck, if you're a real star athlete, you could get away with a lot of stuff. There's a guy, how much do I bear a grudge? I'm 57. I graduated high school almost 40 years ago. My 40th anniversary for high school graduation will be next year. And if I saw this one guy from my graduating class today, I would have an issue with the cops because I wouldn't even say a word. I would just walk up and start throwing fists. This dude harassed me for 4 years. And the only reason I went to my graduation ceremony, I didn't want to go and my parents made me go. And the only reason I went is because after the ceremony, I've taken 4 years of his crap. I'm going to bust him up. And couldn't find him after graduation. I was so. I was so looking forward to it. I don't even know if I would have won the fight, but I definitely would have landed the first couple of punches. He was, I was 6'4", he was probably 6'5". I probably outweighed him a bit, and I was in good shape, but he was one of the star players on the football team, linebacker. Wound up playing football for 1 year at Notre Dame. For those American people to know that, went to Notre Dame, but I think he lasted 1 year in the football program and never amounted to anything. But yeah, he used to harass all us working class and poor class kids, and he would get into fights. He was in so many fights, and then the kids he got into fights with got kicked out of the school, and his parents just wrote a check to the school. Yeah, it's just me talking. I don't even know how many people are here now. It's actually, I've been going 3 hours. I need to get off. 17 people here. And it's 5 o'clock. Joy should be home by now. She hasn't come downstairs. God, I've been going 3 hours. See, I talk and lose track of time. Well, there's always Friday. But yeah, I did not know it was 5 o'clock already. I lose track of time, man. I lose so much track of time. Crazy stuff we do as kids. Crazy stuff we do as kids. But yeah, so yeah, I'm doing this really abruptly because I didn't realize it was, well, it's not after 5 o'clock. It's, I've been on for 3 hours and I went on it a little before 2, I guess. But yeah, I really should shut this down and see what's going on. There's a couple of things I need to do this evening. So Nancy's encouraging everybody to, let's hear their stories, crazy things you did growing up. You've heard ours. In fact, I think I heard Joyce coming in now. All right, but anyhow, I want to thank for all the people that actually stopped by and said hello or joined in. But yeah, my daughter is here with my grandson, so I'm definitely got to leave now. My grandboy is here, my one and only grandchild. So anyhow, everybody, thanks for stopping in. An abrupt ending, sorry about that, but duty calls. So I'm going to say Auf Wiedersehen and Tschüss and happy trains. Take care.